One of, if not the most essential parts of the DC universe that's been missing from the DCU since its conception is the Flash, likely due to the Flash movie coming out within the DCU's development, being awful and then also bombing really hard. That's probably also similar to the reason why Aquaman has been absent as well, except now, apparently, Aquaman is a bit more absent than the Flash. In Creature Commandos episode 4, we see a vision of the future where all the heroes have been killed in a world war that involves Pokolistan and Gorilla Grodd. Already, Grodd being there makes for the DCU's first big hint towards the Flash, since he is most predominantly a Flash villain and also one of Flash's arch enemies. So it felt weird to me that Grodd was there and there's this big group of heroes, but the Flash was nowhere to be seen. Apparently, however, that isn't actually true. The Flash is very much in these shots. The showrunner of Creature Commandos, Dean Lorey, was questioned in an interview about these shots and certain characters appearing. The others we knew about, like Starfire was mentioned, Judo Master as well, but what's really interesting is that the interviewer mentioned he thought he saw what he called a Wally West Teen Titan Flash to the right. Dean Lorey confirmed exactly that. Looking at all of these shots, of all of the silhouettes we can make out, the one he seems to have been talking about who's off to the right and has exposed hair like Wally West is clearly Booster Gold. We get a better look at him in the Wonder Woman focus shot and he's clearly blue and gold with blonde open hair. That being said, now that I know that he's in there somewhere, I think I've spotted the Flash behind Judo Master, Batman, and Vigilante in this shot here. It looks like he's wearing a red suit with a yellow lightning bolt belt while also having a relatively slim build. He was all the way off to the left in the main shot, but I think the interviewer simply misremembered, as did Dean Lorey, who couldn't even remember that Judo Master was in the shot at all, since I'm sure he animated this a very long time ago. What is interesting, however, is how he referred to him as a Teen Titan and as a Flash. It's kinda either or, not both. He's either a Teen Titan and Kid Flash, or he's a Titan, Justice Leaguer, or Solo Agent and the Flash. Based on what we see here, he looks like an adult and it looks like he is the Flash. It seems like he's wearing a Flash suit, not a Kid Flash suit. Now, things can change. For one, this is a possible future. Dean Lorey also mentioned that he has no idea how reflected this all is of what the DCU will actually look like. Dean Lorey, however, is not really in the know. He only made Creature Commandos. He only knows about Creature Commandos. I think James Gunn absolutely does know, and I think this was all deliberate. And that, like everyone else in these shots, this is a major DCU character's technical debut, and if it is actually the Flash, aka Wally West, then I am actually very happy with the direction they're taking the Flash. I've said this before many times, but my hopes for the DCU Flash have always been that they step away from Barry Allen and allow Wally West some time to shine. Wally was the Flash of my early childhood. I have a lot of nostalgia for him, but he was also the main Flash of the comics for 20 years, was the main character of, in my opinion, and it seems like it's a bit of a consensus, the best ever Flash comic run. It was through him much of the popular Flash characteristics and lore was established, and frankly, Barry, I think, had his chance. Barry returned to life in the comics in the mid-2000s, which led into a resurgence in popularity that outshined and cast aside Wally West. Barry was the main Flash again in the comics, while the New 52 then erased Wally from existence, replacing him with a completely different looking and much younger Kid Flash, and he was erased from existence for 5 entire years. Barry got an animated movie, a place in 2 animated universes, a live-action 9-season, 180-episode TV show, a place in the DCU, and a movie of his own. Barry did lead the Flash in the 2010s into the character's highest peak of popularity, but it was brought right back down in the early 2020s. That era of the Flash ended really badly. The Flash TV show had started losing viewers and the respect of the general public as early as season 3, but no one could have predicted how genuinely awful the last few seasons would be. Genuinely some of the worst television I've ever been forced to sit through. That final season was absolutely horrendous. Then there's the Ezra Miller of it all. Terrible person, terrible casting, terrible movie that bombed. The Flash in live action had a very promising start in the 2010s and it was entirely focused on Barry Allen, but completely fell apart by the end. So I do get why people say they still want to see Barry Allen, because maybe he wasn't really given a fair shot. But I think the fact that he was given so many opportunities in the 2010s, and the fact that, as a nice bow to tie it all together, there was an entire animated movie dedicated to Barry Allen's crisis death, the very thing that transitioned into Wally West as the Flash, I think that's exactly what should happen. And actually, it's already beginning to happen. Wally is the main Flash again in the comics and has been for a few years, while Barry recently lost his powers and retired, and it now seems like Wally is the Flash of the DCU, while Barry is either dead, retired, or is also the Flash, just not the main one. I can see them making Barry a contemporary of Hal Jordan's in this world. Hal Jordan will be 60 years old, so maybe Barry Allen is as well, having been a hero of a previous generation and now aging out of the role. But I think what's more likely, since this is how it happened in the comics, Barry Allen probably disappeared or is probably dead, and then Wally took up the mantle like the comics. Either way, I'm glad to see Wally finally getting some love, because he's one of my favorite comic characters in general, but has technically never actually appeared in live action. Keenan Lonsdale on The Flash kind of counted, but he's like 10% Wally West and like 90% Ace West. I think Wally West needs to be white and he needs to be ginger as well. As for what I'd like for them to do with the Flash franchise, well, I think he should be big enough for a live-action movie franchise despite the last movie's bombing, but I actually think the more I think about it, the more that format sounds limiting for the Flash, especially with the family man Wally should be, the huge rogues gallery that would then be passed on. I mean, the last Flash movie was an adaptation of Flashpoint and featured no Flash villains. That's not at all what I'd like to see from the Flash in the DCU. A higher quality live action show with better writing and more budget would be great, but I also think the Flash's true visual potential lies in animation. I mean, just imagine a Spider-Verse style animated movie or an Arcane style animated series, allowing the Flash to be a visual style of his own while in these super stylized animated settings. Then again, I'd also love a more classically animated Flash TV show, maybe animated like Creature Commandos, since somehow something like that has never existed. Honestly, I would accept and I would be happy with any of those possibilities, but if I had to rank them based on how much I'd like to see them from least to most, I'd go with a live action movie the least, followed by a 2D animated TV show, followed by a live action TV show, and then an animated movie in the Spider-Verse style, and finally an animated TV show in the Arcane style, because I think there is where the Flash's true potential lies on screen. Now that we know the Flash is there, alongside other characters being cleared up, the full list of identifiable heroes in the Vision includes Superman, Starfire, Guy Gardner, who I thought was Captain Atom, Mr. Terrific, Blue Beetle and Kashida, Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl, Supergirl, Booster Gold, Damian Wayne aka Robin, Batman, Judo Master Vigilante, Wally West aka The Flash, and Peacemaker. 15 heroes, or 16 if you count Kashida, 11 of whom make their debut, and 5 of whom, again if you count Kashida, return from loose canon projects. Then if you throw in some more confirmed heroes like Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart, Metamorpho, Swamp Thing, Vixen, Static, the Huntress, and the Metal Men, as well as all the heroes whose villains appeared in Creature Commandos, like Aquaman, the Atom, the Doom Patrol, and Firestorm, and depending on its canonicity, the direct mention of Green Arrow on Peacemaker, we're fairly close to a complete DC universe, something that in my opinion has never happened before. The biggest characters and their respective worlds and casts still not confirmed or referenced include Martian Manhunter, Shazam, and a few Teen Titans like Cyborg, Raven, and Beast Boy. I think that's kind of all you would need to make this a complete DC universe, but also I don't think Shazam is necessary, at least for a little while. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below about Wally West being the main Flash of the DCU and everything else I talked about, and thanks for watching.